here. I'm really excited to share with you a new special release from Stampin' Up! Released today. It is available for customer ordering today. It is called Ever Eden. It is absolutely beautiful. I have 5 card samples to share with you. One more we're going to make during this video, and you're going to love it. So let's take a look. Here you can see many of the products that come in this Eden's Garden suite. So this is a special release from Stampin' Up! This is not in any of our catalogs, so I know a lot of times when we have these special releases, people don't always realize we have them. So I want to make sure you have this. It is available starting today, and I believe a lot of it is while supplies last. I would need to double check on that. But here is the Eden's Garden stamp set. It has these neat floral and foliage stamps, along with some really nice greetings. Hello there, dear friend, how are you? Sending hugs. I love this one. My heart is tied to yours. Tug if you need anything, and let's celebrate everything. Also comes with a beautiful die set, and of course you can pick and choose. If you don't want the entire collection, you can order part of it, but the entire thing is available with the discount. Also, if you get the bundle, I believe you get the 10% discount. So here are the dies. And we have 2 separate paper packs. This is a specialty paper pack. These are called cotton paper, and they're a little bit like tissue paper. So I'll show you a sample card I made with them. They're really neat. And then the designer paper pack is just really beautiful with the greens, whites, and gold accents. And then if we flip these over, we have some more basic prints without the foil accents. Let me show you the sample cards I've made already, and then we're going to make one using kind of a fun technique here in just a minute. So I'll bring these in here. We'll look at them one by one. Let's look at this one first. This one is really simple. I used that cotton paper. I crumpled it up, put it on my card, stamped some really faint leaves over here, and then I stamped this dear friend greeting. Now when I stamped this greeting, I made sure this was in my Stamparatus and I could stamp several times. The ink doesn't cling to or soak into this cotton paper as well as it does typical paper. So I had to stamp this dear friend several times before it showed up dark enough. And then you do either have to let it dry or help it dry with a heat tool. Or set it aside for several minutes to let it dry. So that's an example. Here is a pretty basic one. I just used 2 pieces of that designer paper and added this really simple greeting on top with our double oval punch. Here's another nice and simple one. I stamped the sending hugs with some soft suede ink. I stamped some of that foliage in the background with crumb cake. After I'd stamped, I embossed this with my Tasteful Textile embossing folder, and we have just a really simple thinking of you card. Now let's look at this one. I thought this turned out really pretty. The dies are just really nice in this pack, and you could use this one as a frame. You could use it, in this case I used it more kind of like a wreath. You could cut a few of them and layer them in different colors. That would be really neat. But here you can see how I used it with some of that designer paper that I cut it out of. I laid it over the soft succulent card base that I embossed with our Merry Melody embossing folder and used that greeting that I like so much. And this one, this is a really neat die that you can use as a border die. So I put the designer paper on the front of my card, ran it through my cut and emboss machine with that border die, and then added this greeting. So this is pretty simple to create this. Now, one of the stamps in the stamp set I have not used yet. It's the largest and most obvious stamp in the stamp set. Let's look at it real quick. It is this one right here. I haven't used that on any of these cards, and we are going to use it in a really fun way with a technique that uses the Stamparatus. So I have a piece of 4x5 1/4 cardstock here. Now the size of this is not important because I am planning on cutting it down smaller after I do some stamping. Now I can, if I want to, use my magnet if it is on the back. It is on the back. I don't use my magnets a whole lot. You probably know that if you watch my videos very much. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am not going to ink this stamp with an ink pad. I'm going to ink it with some sponge daubers. And the reason is I think this is a really neat image, and you could stamp it in a solid color and it would be beautiful. But what happens if we ink it with several different colors and stamp it that way? And if you don't know what I mean, you will hear in just a minute. So I'll get my daubers ready. And I don't really have a great plan for this, so we're just going to see how this goes right now. So I have 4 colors of ink. I have Shaded Spruce, Greeny Apple Green, Merry Merlot, and Soft Suede. We'll start with some Shaded Spruce, and I am going to get some on my dauber and then put it on select areas of the stamp. I'm not going to be extremely precise about this, but I am just going to try and keep it in a small area. So I'll stamp that once. Now, of course, I can add some more if I want to, or I can move on to another color. So let's move on and do some Greeny Apple Green. This is such a fun technique, and I've been wanting to do a video on it for a while. So this stamp right here, this new special release, seemed like a really good chance to show this. And I really just don't know how this is going to come together because I didn't practice ahead of time. Sometimes I like to just wing it, you know? Or any of you out there, the wing it type? I'll be honest, the way life is sometimes, there just isn't always time to practice and plan ahead sometimes. We just gotta wing it and hope for the best. Okay, now I'm going to use a little bit of Soft Suede. And there were a couple of spots. Now, I'm gonna pull in my image and look at this for a second because it's hard for me to tell exactly what's going on here. I'm gonna put some of the Soft Suede on these little dots. There's a few of those little dots there. Let's do that again and see if we can get those a little bit darker. This is just so fun. You could play around with this technique for like days with different stamps in your collection. I know it. Okay, now I'm seeing some spots that I haven't really gotten to stamp yet because I've missed them the first couple times. So let's add some Greeny Apple Green up here. Now I have to remember this is reversed from what I'm looking at on my paper to get the areas inked that I want to get inked. Ooh, and I really like that. Now it's starting to get a little darker. The colors are starting to mix a little bit. If you want to in between, you could clean your stamp if you are afraid of some of that ink residue getting onto your daubers. You may want to clean them in between. And I really like that. I'm debating if I want to add anything else. I'm going to do one more thing. I think it might be kind of neat if we have a little bit of that Merry Merlot residue kind of like showing up in some random spots. So I did not re-ink it. I just added a few of those spots, and can you see what that did? It just deepened some of those colors, kind of even out my Merry Merlot I had in the center. Now I want a little bit down here on this branch, and there we go. Now I feel like it blends together really well. I'm gonna add a little bit more right here on this one. And we are going to call that a work of art. I love this. I knew that was going to turn out really neat. I just didn't have any proof until I did it, and now we did it together. So what I want to do now, I could use this as is, and now I'm debating. My plan was to actually cut this so that that is a little bit smaller, and the image might even be hanging off the edge of the piece, but now I'm questioning that decision as well. Now I'm questioning if I just want to leave it as exactly as it is. And you know what? I think I do. I love that. That is so neat. So what I'm going to do, I am going to put it on a white card base, but I want to pop it up with some dimensionals just to add a little bit extra. Now, if you missed at the beginning, I told you the measurement for this piece wasn't important, but now that I decided not to cut it down, it's a little bit more important. So this piece does measure 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. My card base measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 as usual. Now I have to figure out where I want my greeting. I stamped this with the Mary Merlot. I don't want to cover up my beautiful image. This is tricky. I know you're out there like, oh, put it there. Oh, no, don't put it there. Oh my gosh. Life is full of like really, really hard decisions, like where to put your greeting on your card, right? Maybe one of the hardest decisions I've ever made right there. Just kidding. Just kidding. A little stamping humor for you. Now I thought just some, we do have some embellishments that go with this Ever Eden set, but I do not have them to show right at this exact moment. So what I'm going to do is add in a few basic pearls on this one. Now, part of my purpose with what I just did on this card was on the rest of my cards, I had used the colors that come in the designer paper pack, the soft succulent, the evening evergreen, and I wanted to show you that you can use this set in a lot of different colors. So let me pull these cards back in. You can see all of these original colors I started with, the ones that come in that designer paper pack. But then you can see just one little example here of what can happen if you use those stamps with some other colors. I am seriously in love with this. This, you know, when you make those cards that you get done and you're like, I just want to sit here and look at my card. It makes me so happy. And then you want to like put it on your desk or hang it on your wall and keep it forever. That is the way I feel about this card right here. So thanks so much for watching along. I'm going to put links to all of these products in the video description below so you can take a look at them. You can order if you're interested. You can also use that link down there to go to my blog and find more information on these projects. Thank you so much for being here and watching along. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you're back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.